and welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, where I'm delighted to be joined by Leigh Ashton. Hi, Leigh.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here.
No, I'm happy to have you here as a sales growth mindset expert.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah, we need to unpack this a little so that we can understand exactly what it is. Know what sales is? I know what sales growth is. Or am I reading this wrong? You tell me.
Well, there's a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And back in the late 90s, a lady called Carol Dweck did some research into how come some children learn really easily and some children really struggle to learn. And she found that there were two ways of thinking that a child could adopt. And a fixed mindset is where somebody thinks that they have a certain amount of ability that they are born with. So they will use language like, oh, no one in our family plays a musical instrument. I can't do that because X, Y, or Z. So they believe that there's a finite amount of intelligence that a person is born with. Whereas somebody with a growth mindset believes that hard work, dedication, and continual practice will improve them from wherever their starting point is. They are not bothered by mistakes because they see mistakes as part of the learning process. And whereas if somebody with a fixed mindset will do anything to avoid a mistake for fear of humiliation or loss of image or anything like that. And in sales, that's a big deal for some people because it can be quite egocentric. So a sales growth mindset expert is somebody that specifically focuses on creating a growth mindset but in a sales environment, because that's my background. I adore sales. And, since I got into sales in the 80s, I knew I'd landed in the right place. And I loved being a salesperson, a sales leader, a sales trainer, a sales enabler. I just love anything to do with sales.
Oh, no, I know this is it's very clear. We had a little chat beforehand, and it's obvious. So for me, this is really interesting because I thought you kind of were either growth mindset or fixed mindset. That was your lot, and it sounds like you're saying, "Oh no, Fred, you're very wrong with this."
Well, people with a fixed mindset have a belief that they are a fixed mindset. So, like any belief, that belief can be changed if handled in the right way. All human beings that will have beliefs that we think are cast in stone. We carry this tablet of stone around with us with our chisel, and we've chiseled those beliefs on. But over our life, we change beliefs all the time. But you think they're cast in stone, but you have to remember that it's your chisel, so you can cross it out whenever you want to. And certain experiences, certain situations will make you think, oh, maybe I can do that. Or, actually, I'm quite good at that. But human beings have a mind that is very complex, but also very simple. It does whatever you tell it. So if you keep telling your mind you're dumb, guess what? Your mind doesn't slap you around the head and say, don't be so ridiculous. You're highly intelligent. It just negates any evidence or any activity you do that's really amazing and great, and focuses on supporting the belief that you have actually enforced on your mind. You created it and it's your perspective, but you can change it at any time. So, for example, people used to believe the world was flat. We know it's not, unless you're one of those members of that Flat Earth Society that I just really don't get. But anyway, if you are, I'm very, very sorry, but I'm not in agreement with you. And so we now know that the world is not flat. But a collective belief like that is so powerful. So that's why they would burn people as witches if they said anything like, well, actually, we think that the sun doesn't go round the earth goes round the sun. And we think it spins. And they put Galileo in prison for that, for saying that.
Yeah. So I'm still thinking about that silly phrase, which is like the Flat Earth Society, members all around the globe. But anyway, that's just me being silly.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Sorry, that's not me. I read it somewhere and it just distracted me when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. So yeah, I mean, sales and the ego thing, a lot of salespeople do have quite fragile ego, which I guess is part of it, because as a trainer, I'll often hear, in as many words, people saying, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Which is kind of me immediately going, well, that's just a fixed mindset. And I find it incredibly hard to work with people around that. So is that coming from two places? It's either the ego is that I don't want to be saying to everyone else that I'm not really as good as I could be, or is it a genuine belief that, no, I am fantastic and anything that you can say isn't going to help me change and get better at what I do? Is it coming from two places, or is it kind of part and parcel of the same thing?
Well, yes and no. I'm really sorry, Fred. I'm going to say
It's a long question.
sometimes people are the sort, I know everything there is to know. I've been in this game a long time. Go away. This is wasting my time. All right. And
You've met loads as well then.
And they may be really, really knowledgeable. So it's not like they're fixed mindset in a way that they don't believe they can do it. They just don't believe they need anybody to do it. So there's that. But then there's also people whose experience of training has been that it's dead dull. They haven't learned anything. In fact, I did some training about 10 years ago, and this story, I still love it, even though I heard it about 10 years ago. This guy, I was going into a client's, and I did 4 days, 4 groups, and every group saying, when's this? I won't say his name. Say his name's Tom. When's Tom in? The name has been changed to protect. When's Tom in? I go, oh, I think he's in on Thursday, which was the last group. The next day, when's Tom in? Wait till you meet Tom. Honestly. And he came in, and I can still remember him sitting to my right. We had like this boardroom table with his arms crossed, staring at the wall, not making any eye contact with me at all. But because my expertise is mindset and rapport and understanding psychology, within a very short space of time, I was able to connect with him. And he came back after the first break and said, Leigh, I realised that I've been in the ditch, and it was such a wonderful and humbling moment that even when someone believes that this is a waste of time, show them a glimmer, just show them a thread of something that they don't know about themselves, and they are in hook, line and sinker, because they're often believing that I'm going to go in and deliver a training about sales and how to do things a certain way. And my training is the total opposite. It's like, this is where you are. This is the objective. How do you get from this point to this point based on your psychological preferences? And how, your personality, how you like to engage with your customers or with your sales team. And you don't have to do it just one way, because we're all different, and all your customers are different, and all your team members are different. So how do you do it? And when people start to explore their own inner realms, it's really captivating. It's like, so that's why I think I've got the best job in the world. I'm not teaching people to negotiate or close. I'm teaching them how to be a more rounded, grounded human being.
Oh no, that is so cool. Yeah, I bet some Toms. No, and it's really sad because they create this persona, and I think sometimes they do want to change, but they've developed this persona within the company. Now they have to play that. I mean, fair play to you, because you know how to. You've then offered them this way out without losing face, I imagine, as well, which is the important part. So, all right, we need to know some of the things then that you do to help people with this, because this isn't about sales tricks and techniques and even just some fundamentals. You're talking about this kind of mindset stuff. So what do you do to offer this glimmer?
Oh, that's such a broad question.
Can you tell us all your program in 5 minutes?
Yeah, okay. What I do, if I was going to put it into a very short phrase, is I hold up a mirror and I say, this is you. And wherever you are, that's absolutely fine. I share this analogy that we're in this life, we're all at different chapters of our life book. And some people may be at chapter 5 and some people may be at chapter 55, and you can't compare the two people. So when sales leaders or sales enablement say, can you make all of our salespeople top performers? And I go, no, it's like it's an unrealistic expectation. You can make them give 100% for the level that they're at, but you can't turn a chapter 5 salesperson or sales leader into a chapter 50 without them doing chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, and all of them, because each chapter gives them something that makes them ready for the next chapter. And so, and it's not in like, just because you're older doesn't mean that you have more chapters, because you could be very stuck and someone who's younger could be further along. So, but it's how you evolve. So my task is to go in and get people to accept where they are so that they are moving, they've got their exact point A. Because if you try and pretend to be someone else, someone more confident, more able, more X, Y, or Z, then your point A is not your real point A. So it's really difficult to evolve. So I create that psychological safety so that I go, you don't have to, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are, or what chapter do you think you're on? You don't even have to tell me. I don't even need to know. You need to know. So then when you own that space, then it's about how do we get you to the next chapter? And you don't have to share that, but you must acknowledge it. And so if you think of the mind as a warehouse that's most of it's in darkness, they have got light switched on in certain areas. My job is to turn the lights on in those areas of darkness so that they can learn and evolve.
I love that. No, I love an analogy, and I can totally get that. And I can think of so many people, and maybe myself to a degree, actually, let's be honest about this, where I want to be on chapter 10. I want to be on chapter 11. Why? Well, that person over there, they're on chapter 14. So I want to be as close to that and then into chapter 14 as well. And it's, have you opened the book yet? No, I like that.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you try and force someone to be on chapter 14 when they are on chapter 10, they get to chapter 14 and they can't cope. They're overwhelmed because they haven't had the lessons for each chapter. And that's like, you will know this for sure. It's what happened to me. It's what happens to most sales leaders. You're a great salesperson, and then you're promoted to a sales manager. And then you think, what the hell? Why did I do this? This is crazy. It's a challenge, but no one trains you. Like, they just because you think you're, they think you're a great salesperson, they think you're going to be a great sales leader. Totally different skills required.
Yeah.
But it was good. I'm glad. I really struggled. I felt like a failure for the first time in my life. And that's what sent me down the psychology route. And actually, it was such a blessing because I just adore this stuff.
No, well, I mean, that's clear. That's clear. And I mean, even from just this short way of you explaining the stuff, I can hear how you would, like, as you say, shine the light on things and help people just get it and get it faster so they can start to apply it. You've said about sales leaders. I want to come back to this in a sec, but just for salespeople thinking or listening in now or watching us, what things can you do just to help them if this is becoming kind of like, whoa, you've already just shined a light? What can they do to sort of keep this moving? Are there any? I don't want to say tips because that's it's way more than that. Or are there tips? Can I just ask for tips?
Oh yeah.
Oh, tell us some tips then. There we go. I'll edit that bit out. I'll try and sound a bit better with my question. Tell us some tips, Leigh.
I would say you know, lots of salespeople read books about how to do sales, and they're really valuable. You do have to read those books, but read books also about neuroscience. Or when I say read, Audible is my best friend. I love listening. Or YouTube or TED Talks. Focus on psychology, growth mindset, neuroscience, even quantum physics and quantum mechanics will give you insights that make you think differently. Develop your mind and apply everything that you learn about the mind, not just in your work, but in your life, because the concepts I share with salespeople and sales leaders are life concepts. So if someone is using those concepts outside of work as well as in work, they're going to get even more strongly embedded, and you'll get success in all areas of your life. So follow people that make you think differently. You know, a lot of my favorite books are not sales books. You know, I love Matthew Syed, The Black Box Thinking, made me think about marginal gains. Just such a fantastic book. You know, if you're a leader, Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. But for sales, I just think there is so much out there. And I think Brené Brown has done Daring Greatly, which is just for every day. So find people that you resonate with. Now, I hope I don't upset anybody here, but there are a lot of salespeople that listen to like ex-Green Berets, ex-SAS, and if they inspire you, that is really great. I do have to point out that being like top of your game in the armed forces is not the same as being in real life, because in the armed forces, you either give orders or follow orders. There's no question, there's no grey area. You just do what you're trained to do. Sales is not like that. You can be inspired by their, you know, their grit and the way they think, but quite honestly, if you barked orders at one of your customers or one of your team, they would tell you to naff off.
Now, I am going to push back on this,
Yeah,
because I think there is a really cool book that people could read, Serve to Lead. And it's what
well, I don't know the
officers,
book.
right, it's what officers get given when they leave Sandhurst. And it is all about that their job as an officer is to lead people. It's not to do stuff, it's to lead, and it's how they lead. And I think it works well for what we're going to talk about sales leaders, that their job is to do the leadership stuff, not to do the do stuff. But I also got this thing about salespeople leading customers, not at the garden path, not doing the old 80s sort of, try and manipulate them, but guide them. So
I agree.
but again, that's just a different way of looking at it. If you're not come across the book, read it. Winston Churchill
I
was
will.
Winston Churchill was a co-author. That's what they get given when they leave there. So,
and there have been some amazing leaders. So it's not everyone. It's like the guy that led in that submarine and didn't know anything about submarines, and he got all of his senior people to help. He collaborated with them to come up with what they should do next. That's a great leader.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. And also sport, you know, if you haven't read The Legacy by, is it Jim Kerr, the All Blacks guy? Oh man, that is such a great book. I think we can learn a lot from sport. So if you look at people who are great achievers in sport, that's like the top 10% of our sales forces. You know, it's what makes someone who practices every single day, like from great to a champion. So if you want to be great at sales, you have to practice every single day. At the end of every day, you have to ask yourself this question: what will I do differently tomorrow to get a better result? And then the next day you do something new, or you just tweak something. So if you constantly ask yourself that question at the end of every day, based on what's happened today, what would I do differently tomorrow? It is impossible for you not to improve.
I I'm not going to push back on anything to do with that. I'm going to violently agree. No, but I just don't get it. Salespeople not liking practicing. You look at, as they say, elite sport. They practice every single day and they play once a week.
Yeah.
Salespeople, we like play every day and they never ever practice and wonder, well, actually, why am I not getting any better?
Yeah.
You know,
because they're doing the same thing over and over
yeah.
again and not analyzing themselves.
Yeah. No, it's that's an interesting one, and maybe they don't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, there's that resistance to doing stuff, but one of the things that the teams do is when they're on the practice pitch, it's acceptable to drop the ball.
Yeah.
That's what the All Blacks would say. I've not actually read the book. I believe I've not read it, but they drop the ball. Why? You're trying something new, and of course you're going to do it. And you start at 50%. You walk the move, don't you? Then you go 75% speed, then 80, then 90, then you do it 4% speed. You do it 10 times on the trot. You don't drop the ball. Bring it now into the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
And just make it up on the pitch. That flashy stuff they do is very well practiced. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
No, cool. And so really considering that every day. So what, with a journal or just giving yourself a little bit of time or some prompt just to sit back and as I shut the computer, go, okay, I ask that question. What will I do differently tomorrow? What have I learned today?
Yeah. And you can do it in whatever format suits you. Some people love journaling, some people don't. But what I do know is that our lives are really fast paced, and reflection, which is a very critical part of growth, is the thing that we cut out when we're busy. We are skimming across the top of all the surface, whether it's work, exercise, family, everything you do, you're just doing it at pace. And so you never go deep. And that reflection time is when you go deep. So it could be when you walk the dog. It could be when you have a cup of tea or coffee at the end of the day. It could be in the gym when you're not even, still and quiet. It's like when people say, I get all my best ideas in the shower. Those reflections happen and you will know yourself better than anyone. When do you do your best thinking? Is it in the bath or the shower? Is it at the gym? Is it writing it down? I mean, I'm not a journal writer, but I'm a big thinker. When I'm like, when we were all going into the office every day, I love my half-hour train ride. When I was coming home, I would just sit there and think about the day and, reflect.
I talk to a robot.
Yeah, that sounds like very cool. I'd love a robot.
No, for real, Rocky.ai. It's a brilliant app.
Oh, I'm writing that down.
Rocky.ai. So Rocky is it's an AI driven chatbot. So you pick the growth path that you want to go down. So it could be purpose, it could be clarity, it could be discipline, it could be communication, it could be collaborative selling. Yeah. Rocky's read my book. But joking apart, morning mindset and evening reflection, Rocky uses this AI. So it'll ask you a question. You type an answer in. It then asks a question based on what you've typed. So the conversation you're having it's unique. It's not having it with anyone else. It's not a program thing. It's using machine learning. What he does at the end is say, okay, very good. Here's how you responded. Here's a couple of little things you might want to read. Snippets, 1 minute long, max.
Oh,
Rocky is awesome. It's so cool.
Well, that's it. That's the answer to reflection, everyone. Rocky AI.
Rocky.ai. I'll send you a link to him. He's so cool.
Oh, wow.
I think I might personalize him a little bit too much. That's a different bit of mindset you need to help me with, Leigh, I think.
Poetic license, darling. Poetic license.
No, but that's really cool. No, but interesting, as you say, it is the bit that gets cut out. But by making the habit, it's important.
Yeah.
And of course, because it's on my phone is always somewhere near. My habit is, and I know people say it's a bad thing, pick it up first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But I cannot press anything else until I press Rocky. Had my little chat, then get out of bed. End of the day, it's on an alert. So it's at 7 o'clock. Usually I'm just sat down, watching telly, something. Oh, right, quick 5-minute little thing. So powerful. So powerful.
I love the idea. That sounds like it's going to be one of my new best friends.
Your friend's Rocky too. He's a robot. He can have lots of friends.
Love the idea of Rocky already.
Oh, cool. So I said we'd come back to this. So we're talking about the salesperson. We talk about reading and being curious about the mind. I mean, it's just funny. Somebody else said this to me. So again, I'm borrowing this. It's like, we have this fascination with all this tech, and I've just been talking about a bit. But the most important bit of sales tech, it's in your head.
Yeah.
You own it already. It's use it properly. And yeah, I'm going to do some reading about quantum physics. And I hadn't thought to read about that. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. But what about sales leaders?
I don't think, actually, someone did say, if you understand quantum physics, you don't understand
You
quantum
haven't understood it,
physics.
but that's all right then.
I don't understand it all. There's some really good, look for easy to read books around quantum physics. Roberto Cavelli is quite good.
But it's really basically what you're saying is it's to make you think. It's to stimulate your mind. It's to take bits from it. If you get anything from it, okay, doesn't make you a bad person. There'll be something else. There is so much stuff out there that you'll get this little seed and this thought. You think, oh, that makes sense to me. Happy days. Go deep on it, because you really can, can't you? So that's with the salesperson. Now you mentioned the sales leaders, and so strap in, folks, because I fear, no, I don't fear, but I sense a soapbox might be coming. What part do sales leaders have in all this? Let me ask nice and gently, and then leave it to you.
Okay. Well, the sales leadership is a really critical part, because they are further down the road, and it's their responsibility to develop the people in their team. It is not a title, it's a massive responsibility. And to think that if you give someone training, they're just going to go away and do it is totally delusional. A job of a really great way, and we've worked for great sales leaders who really care about us as a human being. They will point out where you need to evolve and support you in that growth. They will celebrate your successes. They give direction, not directions. They don't tell, they ask. They ask you what you think you should do instead of just telling you what to do. They care, it's in Simon Sinek's book, Leaders Eat Last, he talks about every person in your team is someone's son or daughter. And that parent has given you that human being for the next stage of their evolution. And you either take that responsibility seriously or you don't. So it's not about giving them an easy ride. It's about loving them and caring for them and treating them as well as you treat any customer. If you treat your salespeople as well as you treat your customers, you'll do the discovery sessions with them. You'll learn about them. It's not just about their sales figures. It's like, what do they do outside of work in their spare time? Are they married? Do they have kids? Have they got pets? What are their pets called? What are their kids called? Where do they go on holiday? You cannot lead someone that you don't know. And the job of the sales leader is to understand that human being and then tailor their leadership to suit that human being so that that human being feels valued, they feel safe, they know that if they make a mistake, they will learn and they won't get their head chopped off. And so it's really crucial that all sales leaders keep developing. They do not know it all. None of us know it all. There is no person on the planet that knows it all in whatever career they're in, whatever their life is. There is always something new to learn. And in sales leadership, if you don't understand neuroscience, if you don't understand psychology, you're basic. You haven't even got to stage one. And whipping people to an inch of their lives to get sales figures in, that's so old school. It doesn't work. You will lose all your talent. You said I was going to get on the soapbox, and I thought, will I? Yeah. But, I think sales leaders are the most underdeveloped role in the corporate world, because corporates assume that they know how to do it, and it is not a true. It's just a myth. They need more development, not just how to lead, but how to be a kind and compassionate leader, how to support people's growth so they move from one chapter to the next chapter, then to the next chapter, then to the next chapter. That's how you create a stable sales team and your talent wants to stay.
Love it. Actually, I had a real light bulb moment, penny drop moment then, when you said treat them as your customer. Because quite often we hear people, because it's an easy thing to say, is, oh, the best salesperson doesn't make the best manager, blah, 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 blah. It just gets thrown around willy-nilly. People say it, I think, without thinking now, because it's just easy. Actually, they could do. Because if they're a really good salesperson, they must know how to treat customers, unless they've hit target doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. That's a different argument altogether. Well, actually, apply what you've done there with your people rather than just reserve it for these other people, which aren't even in your own organization. Now, again, I'm not saying that customers aren't important, very important, but it's using that way of working, the human interest, the getting close, the wanting to serve them. We're back to that serve to lead thing.
Because if you think about it, Fred, when you go to see a prospective customer or client, you ask loads of questions to find out about their world, right? So when sales leaders say to me, I haven't got time for coaching, I go, are you kidding me? It takes longer to tell someone. It takes longer to tell someone what to do, and then they go off and they're not committed to it because it's your idea. When you ask someone, what do you think you should do? If they're there or thereabouts, let them go and do it. Because let me tell you, they are 100% committed to making that work because it's their idea.
Which we try to do with customers. Here is a plan that we can work on together, a mutual action plan, the outcome and enablement plan, whatever you want to call that. This is how we're going to get from here to here, which is whatever outcomes they're looking for as a salesperson. It's from being a decent salesperson to a really good one, or really good to an excellent, whatever it is. Same principles, really.
It's always about progression. It's always about progression. It's as long as a sales leader can keep everyone in his or her team progressing, they are on the right track.
Okay, so everybody can have a growth mindset.
Yes.
Broadly, in principle. So actually, I am wrong on some of my own thinking there. It's how you access it, which is by starting to be interested in them and helping them to realize that actually there is more than one way, but help them to realize, give them the opportunity to see the glimmer. And that is by showing interest in them as people.
Yeah.
And what it is they're trying to do. What else would I'm going to say aspiring sales leader, because if anyone's doing all this anyway, brilliant. But as you say, you probably never get to perfection. What else would they just need to be aware of? What else going to happen on that journey?
Well, I always say that a sales leader is an aunt, an uncle, a counsellor, a therapist. They just need to be available in whatever format that salesperson needs. It doesn't mean that you have to be the therapist, but you have to listen and then signpost people if they need professional help to deal with whatever they're dealing with. But I do know, and there are studies and research that show this, happier salespeople generate 37% more sales. So I think the job of the sales leader is keeping the sales team as happy as possible. And going easy on them actually makes them more dissatisfied, because human beings need challenge and growth in order to be happy. So you have to keep constantly nudging them out of their comfort zone, not to the point that it's terrifying, but in small incremental steps over time. So there is a Harvard Business Review that states that stat. I'll send you the link to that, Fred, so that you can add it in the notes.
Please, yeah, we'll definitely put that one in the notes. That'd be really cool.
So that's what I believe. A sales leader needs to be all things to every person in their team.
And like you say, again, it's that the salesperson thinking, it's I'm not going to know every single thing that a customer asks me, but it's not really my job. As long as I know the person that does know and I can access that, or I can go away and find out and then provide them that resource,
Yeah.
that's the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back into salesperson. If somebody's listening to this and go, this sounds brilliant, I would love to have a sales leader like that, but I don't.
Yes.
What? Probably quite a lot. What should I do? What are they?
Okay.
I mean, there's kind of an obvious answer, but that's not always an option, is it?
Well, I would say take responsibility for your own learning. And then at some point, there's a line in the sand where you think, this place is no longer for me.
Yeah.
And at that point, look for somewhere where you can grow into your next chapter. And also, be kind to the sales leader, because they may not know how to be. So if you need more feedback, for example, share with your sales leader, I'd really like more feedback. It's a two-way street. And like when people say to me, oh, the way they talk to me, and I said, well, have you spoken, like, have you shared the way how it makes you feel? And they go, no, they should know. And I say, why should they know? Like, what makes you think they should know?
You don't get a new business card and ESP powers, do you?
So,
oh, here's your mind reading ability. Cool. Thank you.
and only last week someone said to me, they stated something. I said, how do you know that? And they said, well, I read between the lines. And I say, that's a very dangerous activity, especially in sales and sales leadership.
Yeah.
If you want to know something, ask the question. So I would say, if you would be doing the sales leader a huge service by sharing your experience with them, and the level of that sales leader, depending on how they react to that. And again, say it with kindness. You can give feedback with kindness as well as hostility, and often people think, I can't, they build themselves up, so they blurt it out in a kind of semi-hostile way simply because they're finding it difficult. If they find it difficult, then just find a way, practice with someone, practice with themselves. How can I say this so that it sounds okay? Just simply saying to a leader, I'd really love a bit more feedback because I feel a bit lost right now. And the kind of feedback I'd like specifically is.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But and like you say, take responsibility for your own learning as well. Organizations are still going to prescribe sales training. Now there should be some stuff in there, and to not even accept any of that, and maybe this is my little rant coming out now,
Yeah.
makes no sense at all. They will tend to be doing that with best intent, so try to take something from it, work with the leader, but equally don't expect everything to be served up on a platter to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we have spoiled salespeople in the past a little bit. So, but anyway, that's
it
another.
Could be. And the other thing is, whenever you walk into any sales training, if the trainer doesn't ask you what your outcome is, go in there with an outcome, because there's something in the brain called the reticular activating system. And when you set an outcome, even if you drift off thinking about, oh my God, this is so boring. Why am I here? This is such a waste of time. And then the trainer says something, your reticular activating system kicks in and goes, this was your outcome. You need to listen to this.
Yeah. I'll say something a little bit of fun here. I probably get what I deserve here and sort of come over my own courses. But when you get asked what your outcome is or what objectives you've got, just say, well, there's usually just one thing that you can take away from this. Trainers hate that. It's like, what? We're going to do all of this stuff and you want to just take one little bit. Say that, have a giggle, but then say, actually, though, what I'm really looking for is X, Y, Z. And any trainer worth their soul will go, right, brilliant, noted. And when we come to that piece, I will underline it for you. Or if we're not, I'll thread it in because I want you to go away satisfied.
Yeah, perfect.
But have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah, you can usually take one thing away. We hate it.
Yeah, because I'd
Oh,
go, and what specific one thing would you
well,
like?
yeah, anyone who's been around a bit will kind of ask around that. But
But
the
you know,
initial one, you do go, oh, what?
I often get people, because it's a mindset, they'll go, well, I just want to learn something new. And I go, well, you'll definitely get that then.
Cool, well, job done. No, brilliant. Oh, there's so much we could chat about, but I've got to be respectful of your time here. So you're going to give me a link for the HBR
Yes, I
article.
am.
So you have a new book out, which
I
is
do
why
have,
we're talking now. So book one was about the salesperson, and book
yes.
two is about the leader. So better just give us the titles for those.
Okay. Well,
Are you looking that up?
no. I'm getting the book. This
Oh,
is for
sorry.
salespeople, right? So this is a book for salespeople. It's called I Sell.
I sell. That's simple enough.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we'll pop a link
And
to that in.
I haven't got a copy of my new book. It is being delivered today. The box is being delivered today, but that is called Grow Your People, Grow Your Sales.
Grow Your
So
People,
I've
Grow
gone
Your...
from like a short title to a really long title.
Third book will be somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, so I sell about the salesperson, grow your people, grow your sales. And you were talking about a resource that you've got that people can just start to get a bit of understanding around that.
Yes, if you go to my website, sales-consultancy.com, there's loads of resources, and predominantly for sales leaders. But there is a little diagnostic that you can do to measure the mindset in your team. And that's very simple, totally free, little questionnaire. Yeah.
We will pop a link to that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link for that too.
Lovely. Do like a diagnostic. Do like a diagnostic, mate.
Yes, we both love a diagnostic.
And last but not least, best way to, you're giving us a website, best way to contact you. So hopefully this has stimulated some thinking and people might want to reach out.
LinkedIn is probably the best way. I'm normally on there. Well, I'm on there every day. And when I'm at my best, I'm posting most days. But when I'm really busy delivering, that does slip a little bit. But I do go in every day.
Brilliant. No, we'll pop that link in there too. Leigh, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really good fun.
And for me too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Colin.